Hello, and welcome to the Managed Comics Thoughtstream for Thursday, September 9th. I'm Brian, your host as always, and I'm here to start chatting. We've got a few people watching live right now, so let's just get right into it, and we'll let people kind of catch up as we go along. I'm just gonna flip some things around here. Just got to change my background, which is always fun. It'd be really nice if StreamYard had some kind of macros that I could use to make things faster. But this is where we are. So yeah, we are live right now with Managed Comics, and we're going to get started with our development updates. So here we go. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the survey that I sent out last week. So we'll do a quick review of the survey. I have a video of a Managed Comics demonstration. So rather than me trying to do a Managed Comics demonstration and talk to you guys at the same time, I think what we'll do today is we're going to use this pre-recorded thing to kind of demonstrate everything. We'll talk a little bit about the development updates. So what exactly is going on in terms of development? And then we're going to go through the new releases, the in progress and our backlog. And then finally, we'll kind of round things out with our roadmap for the future, our commitment to you, and what we'll talk next time on the Thoughtstream. Tim says hello, and I say hello, Tim. How are you doing? We've been talking. Tim brings up a good point. So he and I had a conversation earlier today over Facebook. We do have a Facebook page, and it does have like a comment thing on it. I beg you, please don't use it. I very rarely go on Facebook these days. I just happened to be in the dentist this morning, so I was checking it. But normally I'm not on Facebook, so those comments can go for days. help@managedcomics.com is your number one place for where you're going to get help from us. So if you have a question or something like that, please reach out to us there. Facebook is a hive of scum and villainy, and I'd rather not partake in it right now, especially with a federal election going on in Canada right now. So yeah, let's start out with our survey. So I sent out a survey. We got about a 20% response rate in comparison to how many people we send it to. The regular results, of course, were just taken as is. The weighted results, I added 5 points for a first choice, 3 points for a second choice, and 1 point for a third choice to get us kind of a ranked topic. So my big question was like, what do you guys want to hear from? I have all kinds of ideas for segments that I can do going forward. Honestly, just doing dev news every week is going to get tough because we're going to hit a point where we don't have a lot of it. But that point ain't going to happen for a little while. So I think we'll be okay. So yeah, the ranking was number one. People want to know dev news. Number two is features. So I think what we can do is probably do like a spotlight every week on a different feature for Managed Comics. Retail info. So things about the retail experience, like maybe how to create related products for things, or how to best kind of combine Shopify and the point of sale system. Data news, so information about the data and how we are changing the data, what we're doing with Penguin Random House, other vendors, because we do have a whole plan to get other vendors in. Product info, so info specifically about products. This actually, at the last minute, I noticed that like 3 or 4 more people added their choice for this. So this actually may jump ahead of data news. Interesting thing, because I think there's tons of places where you can get information about the products, but as Diamond doesn't become the go-to place for all that info, it's going to be harder to find one place where you get that. So that's an interesting kind of ongoing thing that we could look at as a bigger task. And then Store Spotlight didn't get the love that I was hoping it would, because I'm actually going to do this whether you guys want me to or not. I want to actually have interviews with stores. It gets kind of boring talking to myself for 30 minutes, and it's hard on my voice. So yeah, having somebody that I can bounce things off of is it's more enjoyable. I used to do a podcast with a guy about 4 years ago. And it was great just having somebody to bounce things off of. When I had to do like a solo episode, it was so hard. It was like 3 times harder than doing it by myself. Or doing it with him. In terms of days, 50% of you said Thursday works best. 36% said Monday and 14% Tuesday. And that 14% who said Tuesday, y'all crazy. Tuesday's new comic book day. That's when stuff comes in. I think Tuesdays and Wednesdays are always off the books in terms of what I think is reasonable. That should be 11% because I adjusted the votes after I had some extra votes come in. So it's 50, 39, and 11, not 50, 36, and 14. That's what happens when you update your data minutes before you go live. This is accurate, although the numbers are not accurate. So 44, 22, 17, 6, 6, and 6. So 3 p.m., 44% of you said that was the best. 22% said 1 p.m., 17% said 5 p.m., 6%, 6%, and 6% said 7, 10, and 10. Thank God, because 10 p.m. Eastern time is just mean. But I would have done it. So in terms of days of the week, we might try out a Monday. Not next week. I think next week we're going to keep on going Thursdays. But maybe the following week we'll try a Monday just to see what happens. So let us do a Manage Comics 2 demo. This is going to be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video that I pre-recorded. And that video, if you guys have questions or anything during the video, please ask them then. And what I'll do is I'll bring those questions up as you ask them. And then when we're done the video, I'm going to come on and I'll talk. So don't be alarmed that I'm not interrupting my flow. I did this on purpose because last time I tried to do a demo on live stream, I ended up answering questions during it. And it really, really just made things kind of chaotic. So I spent some time today recording a video. As soon as I was done recording the video, a couple things got completed that kind of made a couple things in the video moot. But regardless, we're gonna go with this video. And if you've got questions, ask them during this, and I will definitely bring them up. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at the front end of Manage Comics. So right now I'm logged in to a demo store with all of the current products, and we've got our current titles and everything in here. One of the first things we'll see is all the products that I've imported through Manage Comics in the past are going to show up as things I can subscribe to. So in this case, Green Lantern number 5, Bernard Chang. I can also subscribe to the series. So when I get in here, I'm going to be able to subscribe to Green Lantern with no upcoming product cover, of course. We update these fairly regularly, so this should get updated this week with a new cover. When I subscribe to the main cover, now it ends up in my subscriptions, and I can see that the next issue of Green Lantern I'll get is number 7 because I ordered it before the final order cutoff. Right now, there's no way to pre-order something that's after a final order cutoff, although we will be making some changes in the future around that. From here on my subscriptions, I can not only see the current things that I'm subscribed to, I can see pre-orders, which are like one-off things, like maybe a graphic novel or a toy in this case. As a store, stores can select which items here that are available. So, if your store doesn't carry games, you can disable games, and then they can't get to this. All this is based off of either initial order or FOC date, depending on what's available. Graphic novels, we can also sort from graphic novels by publisher. So if I want to get down to the Ablaze titles, and then I can go ahead and pre-order a graphic novel. If it's a graphic novel that's part of a series, for example, maybe a manga, then I'll be able to subscribe to the entire series of it. So One Punch Man. This is dangerous because I don't actually know if there are. So yeah, I can subscribe to the actual series of One Punch Man graphic novels. We do have a development task right now to create some. And basically, when you subscribe to a individual title, it would give you the option of choosing which cover you want. That is, and I'll insert a picture right here of what that would look like. We're probably like a week or so away from releasing that. As a customer, I can also browse by FOC dates. So if I need to subscribe to something that's on this week's FOC, and again, this is also going to show me anything. So toys, games, whatever is on FOC this week. So if I want to subscribe to Batman Catwoman, which is on FOC for the 12th, then I can go ahead and do that. And then I'll be able to get the next Batman Catwoman. So that's kind of the front end. We also have a separate search that's different than the product search. So this allows me to search for, there we go. So any issues of Batman that are available. So I can search for Batman 112 and subscribe to Batman 112. And that is the front end in a nutshell. Here we are in the Shopify admin for Longbox of Comics. So I'm going to go into my apps and I'll choose the Managed Comics 2 subscriptions. Once you're using Managed Comics, we recommend that you only use Managed Comics and kind of get rid of Geek Fetch at that point if you are using it. Just because when you import through Managed Comics, you're going to get some added benefits of some tracking that you don't get any other way. So yeah, let's jump into settings. First of all, I can change my button settings. I can change discount rate and create tiered discounting. I can add tags to my products. So I can add writer, artist, title, and genre, for example, so that now all my products in Shopify will get these. And I can change the delimiter. Some themes like a dash, some like an underscore. You really just have to understand how your theme works with those. In terms of publishers, not only can I add or remove publishers, but I can also change who my distributor are. From Diamond, like Ahoy gets Diamond and Lunar. Right now we have it kind of broken down to TPBs and comics, but we'll probably streamline this a little bit in the future. I also think that we will not show distributors for things that you don't have the option of changing. So if it's just Diamond is your only distributor, I don't think it makes sense to show both of them. So we'll be working on some of that stuff in the near future. So yeah, just going through here, it turns out that yeah, we can turn on and turn off any of these products, any of these publishers. Product type, same kind of thing. I can choose to not offer games or toys and models and save that out, and now my store will actually not have any of those features in it. When I'm logged in on customers, I can add new products. I can add pre-orders. I can look at my current customer totals to see how many copies of anything I need to order. Just at a glance, if I just need a quick glance of how many copies I need of anything, this is the easiest way to do it. I can see recent customer changes, so see who's added or removed things. And of course, I can just look at all my customers. And here I can set discount levels. And I can also deactivate people if I don't want them to be able to resubscribe in the future. From a pulls standpoint, I can go ahead and go into my pulls. Did I click on the right? Oh, I need to start over again. So I'm going to start this over again just so I've got a clean. Sometimes it works so fast that I don't even notice that a page has changed. So I'm going to import a Diamond and a Lunar invoice at the same time here. And this is where I would actually say how many actual copies I got. So if I only got 20 copies of Alien, and let's say I got 22 copies of Berserker, and I got 5 copies of Batman the Detective, this will actually create my report shortages list at the end. I can also export things that weren't on this list. This is exporting a missing items list. So this, if there's anything that's on my invoice that isn't in the database, you would see it down here with a red. From there, I can actually augment that information as well. So this is just letting me know this is what I'm going to have subscriptions for. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those items. Managed Comics is smart enough to know that you pulled something in the past, so it wouldn't re-pull something for you. And this is what it's going to import into my store. So this will all get imported into my store. Like I said, there's nothing on this particular invoice okay, so this is stuff that isn't in the Geek Fetch database. So I can actually go through and update that information for those items, or I can just kind of ignore them. You'll see that these are like freight credits. That's a resolicitation of the Captain America #1 annual. Credit. Here's a couple things that we have in the database, but they're using different titles. So I would go through and update these. Otherwise, it's just going to ignore these items. On that part, I can also add product tags. So like if I want a new release tag for 09/2021, this will create a product release tag for that. And then I'm going to review and confirm everything. And what it'll do is at the end of this, it'll actually do all my pulls. So it's going to say, this is who I'm going to pull comics for. And in the background, it's going through and creating all the products in Shopify. And then those products will have all the tags that we set at the settings stage. And of course, our new release tag as well. Reporting, we're going to have things like our shortages. So this is going to show what was shorted this week. I think that might be, I may need to just go kind of a little tighter on my timeline. Yeah, there we go. So this is my shortages report for this week. Subscribe product shortages. So obviously when we did our polls, nothing came up as not having any copies for our customers. But if it did, we would see who these are. What's cooler is that when I do my next polls, it'll actually pull the copies for those folks first. So when I get more copies in the future, it'll automatically pull them. Held back products will just tell me what was not imported into my store. So it gives me kind of it's like, think of it as kind of your back room. This is what your back room stuff is before you've imported it into the store. And then we will go to the ordering. So ordering, we're actually going to change this a little bit in the very near future. Right now, it's very basic because we don't have all the information from your Shopify store in terms of what you've ordered previously and what you have, what you've sold. So one of the things we'll be doing first is there's a option on both Diamond and Lunar to pull in your previous orders. So we'll at least have kind of a few month list of what your previous orders were. And then this whole page is getting entirely revamped. But right now, I can create a initial order with quantities for the individual products. We're seeing one problem here right now, which is that there's some scrolling, and you've seen that in a couple places. We have some questions into Shopify themselves about how we can resolve these. We're using their admin interface called Polaris, and it has some quirks around sizing. So we can't actually make this area wider, which I'd like to do. Like I'd love to just add an extra few pixels to it, which would eliminate a lot of our left to right scrolling. Until we can get that resolved, it's a little awkward, but we'll get it figured out. So from here, you can download the text file that you can upload to Diamond. Same thing goes for Lunar. We have the exact same thing for Lunar with your left-right scrolling. Obviously, you can see I've got a lot more DC Comics customers than I do Diamond customers right now. with FOCs, we upload a file from Diamond or Lunar, and Penguin Random House will have a similar file very soon. And after that, we download the report, which we can upload to Diamond. Actually, it's here. It's save and download this. So this is a text file that you download, and then you upload that into Diamond to get your quantities. One of the things that is going to be changing substantially about this is that we will have kind of store hold quantities as well, which we don't right now. This is just subscription quantity. And then in time, and I don't know how I can kind of show this part, but we have an entire revamp of this entire initial orders FOC process, which will have a lot more data, not only sales data, which we plan on getting like your last 6 weeks, your first 6 weeks of sales on any issues, but we'll also have a lot more of the metadata so that you can actually see the comic stuff without jumping out to previews, like which is what we do now. We'd rather have a lot of that information, pictures, solicitation info. When things change, we'll kind of highlight that the solicitation info has changed for this item. That's all kind of being BA'd right now. So I'm doing a lot of actual text work around that. So we'll have that. Last thing to show you is our robust help system. So we do have help built into Manage Comics. And as you can see, so this is what I was saying about the whole Polaris system kind of being a bit of an albatross. So we tried to use their system because it's fairly robust. But yeah, we can get a lot more information in there. But our help information has everything you could possibly need to figure out how to use Manage Comics going forward. So we have customer pages, so we can tell you all about how my subscriptions and everything works. We can also talk about subscribing to series and things like that. And then on the back end, we've got app features, so how you set up your settings. So it's all very, very granular. We go into verbose detail about how all these things work. We also have information about fine-tuning your store appearance, so editing your code so that you can tweak things. And all this stuff is also available as a download. We have a PDF download that we send out when you sign up with Manage Comics. So that is the current update on what the interface is like. This will change regularly. We anticipate changing again in about 2 weeks when we're just before we go fully live. We've got some big changes in store for just for around pulls and kind of streamlining the pull area, and then also the reporting. There's a couple good changes here that we'll be releasing. So keep an eye out for all that stuff. We're also adding customer import ability so that you can import customer subscriptions from other systems. So we'll have more details on that as well. In the meantime, we're doing all the imports very manually, just so that we can really get a handle on the import process and make it as streamlined as possible. All right. Wow. Listen to me. You'd think I knew what I was talking about. All right, we're back. Let's take questions and answers. I know there's 12 people, and I see Julian, you missed it. Don't worry about it. Like literally 5 minutes after we're off the air, you'll be able to replay it from scratch. So yeah, let's see. Any questions we have? So I'm just going to show Julian said, well, I was stuck with customers and missed most of it. Hey, that's a good story. We like being stuck with customers. That's better than the alternative, right? Yeah, just real quick, any questions before I jump into the next part of our time? I can give you going once. Oh, Dal would like to see and hear more about the Shopify POS system and subscriptions and purchase orders. If I have a customer come in every 3 weeks, are they going to have 3 separate orders to pull in? Yeah, so that's one of the cool things. I guess I should have shown that part. So it creates a draft order. I really should have shown that. I don't know why I didn't. There's an orders page on Shopify, creates draft orders, and then you can pull a draft order into your Shopify. And you do that. There's a plugin you have to download, or an app you have to download. We're actually going to work on creating that as kind of part of our system at some point. But for now, there's a separate app. You use that app, and that will get you your draft order into your system and have all the details there. Julian says you can just scroll back in the video. Yeah, I guess you could. Black Dragon Comics asks, instead of uploading invoice, will there be a manual way to pull the orders? Yeah, so Managed Comics 1.0 has a thing called Shipping This Week. I hate that thing, and I hate it for a number of reasons. And the primary one is it doesn't actually reflect what came into your store. So one of the things that's changing between Managed Comics 1 and Managed Comics 2 is that we're doing a lot more lifecycle management. So we're going to be able to track an order from the cradle to the grave, so to speak. So we want to know what you ordered, what you adjusted your order to. And I shouldn't say we want to know, because I don't care. You guys need to know what you initially ordered, what your order adjusted to, how many subscriptions you had adjusted in that time. Did you have more people subscribe to something after, your initial order happened? What happened after FOC? Did you have more people subscribe to something after an FOC? And how do you deal with that on an ongoing basis? And then finally, what sold in your store over time? If it just sold online, then we'll have that information. But you really need to know that cradle to grave thing for Managed Comics to be truly effective. So the Shipping This Week file will not exist anymore. You will have to use some sort of invoice. Right now, Diamond and Lunar have invoices that we can import. Penguin Random House has an invoice that we will be able to import as soon as they're done. And we are also working with Universal, which is the Canadian distributor, to create a CSV invoice. They want to do it off of the UPC and ISBNs. We just need to know which ISBN they're going to use. Are they using ISBN or ISBN plus 5? And then we'll be able to incorporate that. So as soon as they have that feature, that'll be available. Jillian says, what about stores that don't have Excel CSV files for invoices? Yeah, you guys are going to be taken care of, because I've been in talks with Universal to make sure that this is no longer an issue. It's 2021, and it's ridiculous that people aren't giving us invoices that can be consumed by a computer. So, yeah, oh, thank God. Owen asked me if an import for Diamond UK is on the roadmap. It is. It's a little bit down the road. We're probably looking at October, November before we get to Diamond UK. The reason is we're having a hard time getting a hold of Diamond UK and getting things consistent. Their data is quite honestly a nightmare. They're not even consistent internally with how they're presenting the data. The Diamond UK numbers are often substantially different than the numbers that they have in for Pullbox, for example. So I don't know long-term how we're going to solve this problem with Diamond UK. And honestly, it's like my immediate goal is to get the thing running. And then after that, then we'll start working on Diamond UK. And I am working actively on Universal, just because I'm Canadian, and the one store that is within driving distance to me is a Canadian store that I need to do some tests on binder POS and things like that. I'm happy to hassle them. They have a retailer day soon. Please do. We'll talk a little bit. Maybe I'll reach out to you offline and we can talk about where the problems are with Diamond UK. Any other questions before I jump into the next part? Although I'm happy to answer any questions as they come up. So feel free to get more questions in. Black Dragon Comics, for customers who subscribe and want us to ship the item, will the draft order that gets generated create the shipping info? Yes, it does. So it already creates some. That's a good question. If they're set to shipping, so we'll have to just check on what the shipping status of somebody is. So we're using all of Shopify's built-in systems to do this. So we may just need to add a tag to somebody that they want items shipped. But that's relatively easy. That's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. I'm actually going to real quick write that down. Subscription shipping. What's interesting is Managed Comics 1.0 was built for an online store because it was honestly the replacement for my old online store's shipping or subscription tool. This one is built from the ground up to work better with point of sale. So Dal, back to your thing about point of sale. I need to figure out how I can even demo that, because I actually have to bring up the I'd have to bring up the point of sale on my iPad. I know there's tools I can use to record that. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. Beta Cosmos, Julian has a bunch of questions about moving stuff from 1.0 to 2.0. So yeah, definitely send an email. We are working on import systems right now. So I'm actually creating a map from Managed Comics to Shopify, because we need kind of some of the information that's in there from Managed Comics to create them as Shopify customers. So that will be done probably early next week. Right now, I've literally manually created these, and it's a pain. So I've got the devs kind of working on stuff. And in terms of subscriptions, it's actually relatively straightforward. We are going to create a import field in the actual Managed Comics like admin side. So we'll create an export from Managed Comics and an import in the Managed Comics side, Managed Comics 2 side, so that you will have that. I know that the question about Comic Suite is going to come up. Totally on my radar, and I think I've got an idea of how we can do this. The good news is Comic Suite is already using most of our existing series codes. The ones that scare me, though, are their DC series codes and what they're doing with those. So there's an easy way around it. It's a manual job that I'm going to have to hire my 13-year-old son to do, but he loves this kind of stuff, so he'll gladly do it. We'll just map all of the Diamond series codes to our Geek Fetch series codes. And at one point I had a bunch of them mapped, but that's kind of gotten out of sync a little bit. So we'll have to go through that. Let me jump into more questions and answers. So we've kind of wrapped up that. Let's talk about our development update and what we're working on. So we've had a couple of injections, customer imports. We are working on a customer import process. This obviously needs to be smooth, because the thing that we're most concerned about, like we love our retail partners, and we want to make sure everything we're doing is right for you, but at the same time we're also very customer focused in terms of your end customers. We want to make sure your customers are happy and that this system makes sense to them. So we need to do both the right thing for your store and the right thing for them. So making sure that the kind of that import is smooth is really important for us. We anticipate that like probably 70% of our Managed Comics 1.0 users are going to switch over to 2.0. And as that happens, we'll definitely need to do some things behind the scenes so that your Managed Comics URL seamlessly just points over to your Shopify URL. There's a couple things around that as well. We had another injection, which is the Penguin Random House FOC. I don't know why I thought that it was going to take longer. before they started doing FOCs. But we did get the FOC information yesterday from Penguin Random House. So we now have it. We're actively working on an FOC system for Classic, and then we will be doing this for 2.0 going forward. Because of this, we've realized we need some more data. The good news is we're going to have that data because we store your initial order stuff, but Penguin Random House by default doesn't give you your initial order information on the FOC file. So that's not terrific. But in terms of like the actual flow, it shouldn't be that big a deal because we'll have what your FOC was last time that we updated it, and then we'll just kind of insert that in, and then it'll just give you another data point to create your initial orders or your FOC orders for Penguin Random House. It's just a little bit of a pain. We weren't anticipating adding that kind of data. Development update. So this is what we recently released. So there was an FOC error. The diamond FOCs were coming out wrong. And actually there was a whole cascade of terrible things that were happening with the FOCs. But this is why I wanted to go through a full few cycles of FOCs and at least one initial order before we went public. So yeah, we've gone through our FOC problems and we've resolved those now. As a store, I want to set my distributors. So we needed to create distribution settings for Ahoy, Scout, and Penguin Random House, as well as Canadian and UK distribution settings. As a customer, I want to be able to sort by type when on a publisher. So it's just this little thing that lets you sort by comics, graphic novels, toys, and models. And those are based on what's available for those guys. This DC Comics one, when I took the screen grab, there was some DC statues or something that were showing up still. As a customer, I want to be able to sort by publisher when on a type, which is the reverse of this. So when I'm on comics, I want to be able to sort by DC. So yeah, we've got that now. In progress, we have a bunch of bug squashing that's going on right now. Items that are not subscribable have subscribe to series on them. So as you can see, this OMAC One Man Army Corps, there's a subscribe to series, which is impossible because this is a trade paperback. So it's a really simple fix, but guys got to get in there. Ghost subscription. So this is an interesting one. If a customer is subscribed to stuff and somebody deletes that customer from Shopify, it creates just a cacophony of chaos. So we've got some checks in there that when a customer is deleted, it's going to have to create like warnings and stuff as well, because you can have somebody subscribe to 200 things and you can delete a customer out of Shopify, which is kind of mesmerizing. And that can cause a lot of problems. Bug, other publishers link to everything, even, so this is one that we found when Variant Edition was doing some testing with stuff, and they found that the other publishers tag on the subscriptions area showed everything. So we've got a quick fix in for that. Oh, this is the one we fixed. The FOC uploads were in the wrong format for Diamond. Geek fetch bug, we've got a lot of database stuff with the wrong FOC date, so we're solving that with some data updates. Bug, do not order from this line product. So we found a bunch of products in our database that are called do not order from this line, and they were showing up. So the problem is you can delete a customer that hasn't made purchases. So if you have a subscription customer, so you've created a new subscription customer and you subscribe them to a bunch of stuff and then you delete them, or in this case, they realized that person was the same as one of their POS customers that were in there. They deleted the original customer or the POS customer. I guess probably not the POS customer because they'd have subscriptions or purchases. Anyway, that caused problems. So that's where it came from. the stuff that we'll be working on, and so we're a little bit behind on our dev because one, I took a vacation a few weeks ago, and then we had a developer take a vacation, and poor Taras is like working overtime to try and do 2 developers worth of work right now. So we're a little bit behind right now where we had hoped to be. So this is the stuff we're working on right now. Creating orders, both initial and final order cutoff for Penguin Random House. Pre-ordering single issues, subscribe to series, and specify a cover. This, from an interface standpoint, has been something of a nightmare because I looked at basically how everyone else does it, and it's terrible. It's like, as a customer, I don't want to have to think about this kind of thing. I just want to be able to subscribe or pre-order something. So I really did a lot of kind of research on what the best practice is for doing something like this, where we realize is a modal window type thing of this, like this, where we can actually see all the covers. That's going to be the best way. And then if you click on the cover, it'll kind of full screen it. Of course, the other problem is a lot of this data, the covers don't show up until FOC if you're lucky, and sometimes like after FOC. So there's some data kind of cleaning that we have to do to make sure that we're getting covers kind of currently. As a customer, I want to better understand add, delete, and quantity. So on my subscriptions, we're just making a couple of changes to the way that my subscriptions work so that you can visually see what's been added recently, what you've deleted. Because if you delete something after an FOC, you're still going to get that title. It's still going to get pulled for you. So, you can have Batman deleted, Batman Catwoman deleted, but if you deleted it after FOC, we are still going to pull it because you've committed to it at that point. As a store, I'd like to see discounts on all customers. So we've got a customer page with discounts. By default, the tiered discounting isn't showing up. So we're going to kind of adjust that. And then you'll still be able to override that. So if there's a specific customer, maybe it's an employee, and you want to have Julian, if you want to have their overrided discount in there, we'll show that as well. Julian's comment is, as a store, I want to be able to sort by custom ID. Yeah, that's in there. Actually, that's funny that it didn't show up on my list because it's definitely on there already. As a store, I want to know what customers are managed comics customers in Shopify. So if you're going to send out an email through Shopify, you'll want to be able to show a managed comics tag to send it just to subscribers. So we're going to add a tag. Part of that is that when they are no longer a managed comics subscriber, so they've been disabled, they would have a different tag applied. As a store, I want to add terms of subscription notification before someone begins a subscription. So basically, accepting terms that they're committing to pre-orders and that they're going to pick up the stuff, which just makes it look more formal. So we got a request from Variant Edition to add this. Definitely going to we'll add like a boilerplate, which you'll be able to edit in your settings. So if you want to change that over time and make it, your own, definitely you'll be able to. But I think a lot of stores are just going to want kind of boiler information, and we already have that with Managed Comics 1. So we'll just make sure we kind of bring that over to here. So that's what we're working on for the next week and a half, 2 weeks. And that's going to get us through. The one thing that isn't on here is imports, and that's because it's kind of the injection thing. So that's definitely in progress. And Julian, to answer your question about custom IDs, that's part of the import process. So that's why there's not actually an individual story for it here. But yeah, that's definitely it. This is about 1 to 2 weeks worth of work. We had hoped to have all this stuff done kind of this week, but Kirill took the week off. So who knew that people need time off? Roadmap. So this is our development roadmap. Okay. We've got a couple of things. Black Dragon Comics says, I think this is Adam, if I remember. What about a link to the terms of service that Shopify has us create when we open a website? Definitely you could do that. It's just, this is a different term of service. Terms of service usually don't have stuff about like subscriptions and pre-ordering without payment. So I think you may want your own thing here. But yeah, we could import your terms of service if that's what you wanted to use instead. So yeah, for sure. Jillian says he still loves me. Thank God. So this is our development roadmap for the next little while. ISBN +5 upgrade, and we will probably inject this in right now. So something that's just been made aware to me is that Shopify requires ISBN +5 for their point of sale to work properly. So we just got to get the data in, and basically all of our Shopify exports going forward will have the +5. The +5 is dead simple. It's literally the number 5 and then the price after it. If it's like under $10, it's 0.399. If it's over $100, it's always 9999. So that's awesome. Oh, Jillian says not binder pauses though. So binder POS can do this without the +5. Oh, what a pain. So we're going to have another setting where you choose which point of sale you're using. Fair enough. Right after we get that done, I'm doing deep investigation into Shopify's Dawn theme, which is their new theme that they released with their Shopify 2.0 product. It is entirely different than all their other themes. Basically, what we do right now is Manage Comics injects a little bit of code into your theme.liquid, or anyway, it's a .liquid file, but with the new Dawn theme, they're using JSON files, so it's like a totally different kind of coding language. So we're going to basically have to check what you have and then kind of modify based on that. I didn't anticipate this being a problem until I started running into 500 errors with a new site that I had just built, and then I found out what the problem is. So since this will become a bigger issue for Shopify stores going forward, it's definitely right near the top, and that's why we have that there. Enhanced new customer onboarding process. I've been building this kind of offline. Basically walking a customer through a few screens that says, this is how you subscribe, because customers aren't going to know right off the bat what happens when I, add or delete something, and what are the rules around FOCs. So I think this is an important one. That's why it's up so high. GeekFetch updates and automating manual processes. So I personally right now update over 20 files a week, which is fine. I'm happy to do it, but I'm always worried about what happens when the inevitable beer truck hits me and I'm unable to update things. So we want to automate as much of this stuff, as soon as possible. So everything from shipping updates, Penguin Random House sends us down a daily ads drops kind of list. Diamond has daily new product releases things. We want all that stuff just to go into our system kind of seamlessly. So that's what's on there. I'll be doing some initial order and FOC upgrades. So that's all the stuff that I've been working on in terms of look and feel. And I'm going to vet this with a few stores to make sure it makes sense. But basically replicating, but making better what Comic Suite does and what Mobi used to do in terms of the screens around, what your sales were, what your initial orders are, what your subscriptions are, what your shelf copies should be. And hopefully over time, we'll be able to really, really improve that and get some artificial intelligence to tell you what would make the most sense. Ratio variant upgrade. So right now I am literally going through all the notes on all of the ratio variants to figure out which ones are ratios, and we're adding data to our database that specifies one. So we're adding a number, and open order is 1, which means that you can order this as many times as you want. And then like a 1 in 10 would have a 10 number. because you have to order 10 to qualify for one of these. And then we have to do some logic behind the scenes to figure out cumulative versus one-off. Although I don't think I've seen too many. Marvel used to do this, but they're, oh God, I was just remembering. I had a flashback to the time that Marvel required like a PhD in mathematics to order their variant covers. Like Boom Studios with Berserker, I know had a 1 in 1,000, but you could order 10 1 in 100s to qualify for that 1 in 1,000 as well. So really a flag saying whether this is cumulative or individual. Universal distribution imports. So getting Universal's not only their initial order and their FOC orders in there. We don't have that information from Universal right now because they haven't created it. So I'm still working with them. And so these two here are really dependent on Universal and Diamond UK. Net product pricing. So we have net price products. There is an MSRP on most of them, but when there's not, you're probably going to want to do some sort of margin kind of thing on it. So these are the kinds of things that we're going to want to have more people using the system before we go making rules around them. So that's why it's a little bit further down. Child parent series matching is Hulk. What is it? Immortal Hulk is becoming Hulk. And of course, it's becoming Hulk 2 weeks after Immortal Hulk ends. So there has to be 2 series in the system. We will create a child of the parent series and then create a way for you to kind of continue those subscriptions on. Admin and mature settings. So as we've been going through the catalogs, we're finding just more and more just stuff that we need to modify so that you can hide products that you don't want appearing on your website. Pre-order deposits. So both pre-order and FOC payments are kind of bigger, kind of long-term projects. And I would say after about here, nothing is organized in terms of timing and when we're going to do what. I've really only prioritized these first 4 products. Initial order and FOC orders. We want to get that as soon as possible, but there's some of it that's going to require like your data getting in there before it really makes sense. So, but yeah, getting back to these two. So the thinking here is somebody orders a statue, you're going to want a deposit on that. We need a way of tracking that deposit so it doesn't become a nightmare of just like sticky notes that say Bob paid $50 for this statue. So we have to create a whole system. But when we do that, it also makes sense. Some stores prefer to take a deposit or a full payment for FOC items up front. So we can create that same system to do both pre-order deposits and FOCs. Automated emails, like I said, things going up and down. This, I think, will go up because it's a relatively simple thing for us to do. And this is one of the highest value things that we've done with Managed Comics 1.0. So I see this as being a really, really high value, relatively low effort product release. So this would allow you to automate your FOC emails that go out, automate new release emails, automate new to order emails, and also let you kind of add or remove whatever you wanted to from them. I know some stores love to do this manually. Some stores love the fact that we do it automatically for them. So this would become an individual thing, but it's also something like I love writing the new to order email every month. So if I can write one email and 150, 200 stores can use it, I think that totally makes sense. Conversely, if you guys want to override everything I say, that's also in your power. Front-end enhancements for new series. I just have some ideas about spotlighting the new series that come out every month. So right now, when you click on when you click on the month catalog, it just kind of shows you the fire hose of everything. But I'd like to be able to refine that down by this is what's new. Here are the 5 or 6 spotlight series that we have. And then store spotlight enhancements. So if somebody wants to highlight 6 sidekicks of Trigger Keaton this month, then that's something you guys should be able to do as well in terms of showing what the things are that you want to hand sell in your store. Like I said, this is just kind of, I cherry picked a bunch of the stuff out of our list. But yeah, for sure, you guys can you'll see more of this over time, and as we get into it and start getting more and more people using the system, we'll start soliciting. We've done this in the past, and Julian, I know you've been part of this. We do forced ranking on what we're going to develop next, and then people help us figure out what our roadmaps are. So our commitment to you is we won't go live until it's right. I know I said September 13th. We're hitting September 13th on Monday, and we are not in a position that I'm comfortable releasing anything. We've ironed out most of the bugs, but as you saw, there's still like 6 good-sized bugs there. None of them are longer than a couple hours to fix, but those need to be fixed, and we need to test them. We need to make sure they're right. The ghost bug is something we would have never hit until we started getting with customers and started seeing what happens when real stores are actually doing things with customers that we never did in any of our tests. And I know we're going to find more of those things. So we're working with Shopify on some of their POS issues. The point of sale is great, but understanding the difference between ISBN plus 5 and ISBN without 5, now knowing that BinderPause doesn't use that's going to change, some of the ways we do things. So that's so interesting, because that explains why half our customers love the fact that the ISBNs are the way they are. So yeah, that's going to change some things. Making sure our exports work right. So our exports for your products and your Penguin Random House, your Diamond. Confident now that Diamond and Lunar work. I really need to see Penguin Random House working. And then figuring out what we need to do to export from Comic Suite. So the good news is I've done this in the past with Manage Comics 1. It was a little bit painful back then, but I know exactly. So basically, we will import all your series codes, and we'll ignore any series codes that are dead. There's a few series codes we're going to have to flag, because things like Saga, you're not going to want to lose all your Saga customers, even though I know, Dal, you don't think that Saga is ever coming back, but I'm convinced it's coming back. So yeah, we'll have to figure out things like that as well. I think probably the easiest thing to do is just import all the series and consider them all ongoing, and then we'll kind of prune things through. And constantly improving our own data. Literally every week, we're making massive changes to our data that's really making things better. So that's our commitment to you. So next time we talk, next Thursday, we're going to review some of our demo stores. So we'll talk with, I'm going to talk with Dreamers and Make Believers this week and find out maybe they'd even like to come on and talk. So we'll get some feedback on what they're seeing. We'll give you I said demo, but really a beta update. So let you know what's going on with our beta stores. We have, I think, 6 stores in beta right now. I've got 2 stores. So Variant Edition, I'm doing customer imports for them this week. And then I know BD Cosmos, we're working with you. So yeah, we'll get all those guys in with all their customers, and we'll see what happens. And then we will let you know when we're opening up wider. I know this isn't the best news in the world. I would love to open up on Monday, because then we'll get more money. But I'm not desperate. I want to do the right thing more than I want to do the thing that's gonna help me pay the bills. Yeah, join the wait list, of course, always. Let me just go back to me. Dal says I'm a dreamer. Well, I'm nothing if not optimistic. So yeah, Jillian and BD Cosmos, they do use our email month to month. He also creates a YouTube video of 10 books to subscribe to and 5 books to spec on. That's cool. That's a great idea. For front-end enhancements for new series, you could take a monthly poll with stores to make a top 10 list of the hottest titles that could be highlighted. Yeah, that's a great idea. So the other thing that we do with Managed Comics 1.0 is we just have a most subscribed page, and that changes per store because it's literally what's most subscribed in your store. So what's cool is you can really tell the stores that hand sell things, because some stores will have, most stores have Batman as the number one title. Some stores will have Star Wars as the number one title. Docking Bay 94, I'm looking at you. So yeah, it's always interesting to see kind of what sells for stores. So that's something we'll definitely get in there. Yeah, so I think that's a whole hour. I tell you, adding that 15-minute video makes this a lot easier to do, because I don't have to talk for the whole hours worth of time. But BD Cosmos, High Republic, baby. Sonic the Hedgehog is a number one title. That's insane. Wow, that's really interesting, because that speaks to an audience which I would bet is younger. That's a really neat kind of stat. So yeah, that's wow. That's super cool. So like I said, like that, but that may encourage other people to sign up for Sonic the Hedgehog because they may not have even known that was a thing. Yeah, that's super cool. So there's definitely a ton of things we can do in terms of that stuff. Nice house on the lake for us. Heard that from a number of stores, and I got trouble from BD Cosmos because I said it was the sleeper hit of the summer, which I still stand by. That is, nobody expected before that thing came out that Nice House on the Lake was going to sell as many copies as it did. If they did, people would have bought more, and it wouldn't be selling for $200 for the first issue or whatever crazy number people are buying it for these days. There we go. So that's my little rant. BD Cosmos did, of course. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, as always, got a question for me, hit me up at help@managedcomics.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And if there's anything else that comes out, well, let's take a look at this. For child parents, it is nice if customers can be alerted so they can select to continue pulling the series. Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the whole kind of choice thing, is having these things so that you can select to. I will bet you 90% of the customers out there just want to get Guardians of the Galaxy, no matter who the creative team is. But yeah, there's 10% that absolutely are going to jump off as soon as the creative team leaves. I'll be interested in seeing Amazing Spider-Man. I think across the network is the number 2 most subscribed to series. So when 75 comes out, what happens? Is it going to get more or less subscribers? That should be interesting. But yeah, absolutely. And then there's the other part, which is an annual doesn't have the same series code as the series. So most customers, I'm of the opinion, want the annual, because most stories kind of finish in the annual. But there is, again, probably 10% that don't want it. There's 10% of those just might not want it because of the costs. So what do you do about that? So I think we'll have the option for somebody to opt out of annuals, but by default, I would say opt in. Owen, with the Donny Cates comment, likewise, we have Donny Cates followers who will migrate to any series he's on. What is it I just saw? Is he doing Hulk? I think that's right. Yeah, really interesting. And that's something, so we have the data for that. You could subscribe to all Donny Cates. And that's something that will create as we kind of go on, and as we figure out, some of these aren't necessarily a data problem so much as they are a interface problem. How do we create that thing so that it doesn't become this overwhelming series of choices, because there's tons of research that says like every choice is a barrier. So the more choices you have, the less you want to do things. So the previews catalog with 3,200 products is a perfect example of, the cacophony of choices really limiting down what you want. So that's interesting. Yeah, Owen says that their Venom subs are dropping and Hulk is doubling. That's really great. And yeah, Superman, people jumped off Superman when Bendis was done. That's interesting because Bendis is so divisive. I love him, but at the same time, his Checkmate stuff is so overwhelming. I read the first issue and it was so full of word balloons that I just issue for me with annuals, they have their own release date and a different price point. Yeah, absolutely. And the price point is often double what the single issue is. So yeah, that's for sure something. And I think probably what we'll do is we'll make that a per store setting, because your choice may be not to risk that and say, order X number of copies and just let people pick it off the shelf. Yeah, we want to make as many things store options without overwhelming you guys with too many choices as well. So I think that's it for me this week. Guys, thank you so much for the questions, especially at the end there. I thought we were done about 10 minutes ago and we kind of went on. So I really appreciate that. Like I said, got a question for me, hit me up at help@managedcomics.com. Owen, fire me an email at help@managedcomics.com and I'll get back to you. That way I'll have your email address and we can chat ongoing. Thank you so much. And we'll do it again next week. Same Managed Comics time, same Managed Comics channel. Take care.